Good evening, Kevin Duska, aka Prime Rogue, current candidate for the Wax OIG, live with you here. And we're going to have a lot of fun tonight looking at version 5.0 of the Office of the Inspector General Guidelines for Evaluating Guilds. Let me tell you something. It's much worse than you thought. Hey, Gabriel, nice to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for showing an interest in chain governance. So, the Office of the Inspector General, the OIG, is a neutral third-party role. Well, it's not a role, it's an institution, but okay. Designed to evaluate Wax Guild candidates' contributions to the ecosystem and provide ongoing transparency for the community. Really? Transparency. All right, we'll talk about that. But normally, transparency involves communication, right? Because as we're about to find out, there isn't much transparency here. Sometimes seeing how the sausage is made can be quite ugly. The OIG is designed as a committee of 3 IGs. Well, before using another acronym, you need to tell us what the acronym is, but I presume they're referring to inspectors generals that work out a transparent and heuristic framework to evaluate all wax guilds. Well, a heuristic framework, and I this is contrived, but a heuristic is a hands-on or interactive, enabling someone to discover or learn something for themselves. It's a way of simplifying reality. But in computing, which is presumably what the IGs are using right now, it's proceeding to a solution by trial and error, which would be fine, or by rules that are only loosely defined. When you combine trial and error and loosely defined, that's what this is. And guys, we're not on version 1. We're on version 5.0. And before that, there have been a lot of other versions. So this is going to be a lot of fun in a fair manner and improve the network's quality, security, and competitiveness. Well, I stand by that. The major changes in version 5.0 are the added clause of ethical behavior and added testnet participation as a secondary requirement. That's lovely. Welcome, JT. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to have the minor changes, blah, blah, blah. Evaluation process. Guilds will be evaluated on a regular basis on the criteria below. The committee will publish the cutoff date for rating guilds. Kind of need an apostrophe here. Each evaluation cycle. Guilds will submit their updates. Presumably there's an S missing there, and appeals to GitHub in plain text with links to data screenshots. Confidential information can be submitted via email, but requires to be noted in the public update. Aside from that phrase being incredibly awkward, here's a massive problem. What is the definition of confidential information? Because it sure as shit is not defined anywhere in this document. I can understand why a proprietary algorithm would not be put in the public domain on the chain, but proprietary and confidential are not the same thing. So this is essentially creating a framework in which the OIG or a guild can say, hey, this is confidential, so I'm not going to publicize it. Hey, but you can use this to judge us. So where the hell is what the definition of confidential means to the OIG? Because it sure as shit isn't in here. Publishing an update with non-confidential information is mandatory if you want the OIG to evaluate your confidential sections. I presume they're talking about guilds rather than people. Their criteria will consist of line items in a range of categories of various point ranges. The committee believes this will make it easier to evaluate guilds fairly. Fair enough. The OIG does, however, have to rely on the reported information to be accurate. Points credited under false pretense, again, there's an S missing here, due to wrong information being submitted or important changes not being communicated may result in a penalty. That's good. But where's the operationalization of what wrong information is? And where the hell is the category for purposeful misinformation? Submission of inaccurate information during reports or appeals where the OIG has to assume the goal is to scrounge evaluation scores may also result in a penalty. Scrounge evaluation scores. What does that even mean? One of the requirements to be an IG is to speak fluent English. And I understand that there might be some minor grammatical mistakes if someone's a non-native speaker. That's understandable. But this is so poorly written to the point where it's barely comprehensible. But anyway, this includes but does not conclude with, I think they mean is not collectively exhaustive, the misrepresentation of development efforts, development progress, purported collaborations or partnerships, knowingly boasting the significance of a product based on false claims, fakery of infrastructure availability, or performance. I think you can read that for yourself and realize that it makes absolutely no sense. Data for technical evaluations are based on performance on the WAX mainnet. If the guild is not in active rotation, not one of the top 21, and no mainnet data is present, WAX testnet performance will be applied instead. That's perfectly sensible. As such, guilds are always advised to maintain both mainnet and testnet infrastructure in line with our technical requirements, ensuring both networks are properly represented in the chain's JSON and tracked by our known validation services. That is all perfectly reasonable. Well, Quadrell, that may very well be the case, but a requirement for an IG is that they are fluent in English. So if that's the case, that is massively problematic. Timings. If no time range is specified, the last evaluation time frame is applied, starting with the last evaluation report release, ending with the submission cutoff date. Technical evaluations always cover at least the time frame since the last cutoff. Okay. Pre-evaluation. The previous for OIG, not the article about them. No, this is not an article about them, dude. This is their own publication of their own guidelines. This is their publication written by them. So that doesn't hold, my friend. They need to be able to write something. English is the official language of WAX. So something they write needs to be clearly operationalized in fluent English, which it doesn't seem to be. Pre-evaluation. The pre-evaluation and minimum requirements must be fulfilled to be considered for a rating. Satisfied criteria will improve a guild's score on the report. Okay. Failing an evaluation. Guilds that failed an evaluation based on minimum requirements are granted the opportunity to apply for reinstatement. This can only be done once within an evaluation period after addressing all outstanding issues and providing a stable service for 7 days. Guilds that have been in the top 21 position by score during the previous evaluation, A, fail minimum requirements, but B, achieve the required minimum score, and have their issues addressed before the end of the appeal period, will, instead of failing, be demoted to a standby position. Well, it would be really nice to know why that's the case. Why would a guild that's been in the top 21 receive benefits for failing compared to a guild that hasn't? That seems to create artificial barriers to entry for new guilds and standby guilds. Why wouldn't they hold the same position? This needs to be justified if this is to make any sense. Guilds that failed the previous evaluation and don't submit a current update will not be reviewed and will be retired by the end of the evaluation. Okay, I guess that's fair. Oh, we have some more comments. I'm way too serious today. Thank you, Rexy. Thank you. Ratings can be appealed during pre-announced appeal periods. Rating appeals are to be provided as an issue in the repository. Okay, that sort of makes sense. We'll look at the repository another day. Block producing rewards. While active producers can claim their pay daily, of course, let's get started with pay because that's what matters the most. Based on produced blocks, guild and standby positions are paid on a monthly basis. To be eligible for payments, guild need to pass the minimum requirements for each month verifying they offered a service over the paid evaluation period. Severely failing to uphold minimum requirements or being unregistered for a prolonged time over an evaluation period while otherwise still passing minimum requirements can result in a proportionate share of the standby rewards getting deducted. Okay, 2 problems here. What is severely failing to uphold minimum requirements? Is this something that the OIG decide on an ad hoc basis, or is this something that's operationalized? Because I've looked through this before and it's not operationalized. So how is this consistent? Also, what is a proportionate share of the standby rewards getting deducted? How is proportionate decided, and why is this not in this technical document? This is supposed to be the governance entity of a blockchain that's evaluating guilds. It seems like this was put together by high schoolers. For this time frame, guilds are considered unregistered in Wax mainnet, no matter if they actually are or not. And again, we're back to confidentiality. Oh, joy. If required information becomes submitted to the IGs confidentially via email, that really inspires confidence in me. Doesn't it inspire confidence in you good people? Confidential submissions must still be noted in the public report published on GitHub. Well, how do we know without an ombudsman or some check on the power of the OIG that what's being noted in the public register published on GitHub is what's being actually reported to the IGs? And beyond that, from a democratic governance theory, again, they haven't defined what confidential is allowed to be. Again, we all understand that there can be proprietary information that needs to be protected, but what is confidential? It's not defined. And that's a really big problem, because a blockchain is supposed to be about transparency. That's why we have a ledger function. That's the core of a blockchain, is a ledger. And this is basically a way for the IGs and the guilds to bypass their own ledgers. Now, I fully understand that proprietary documentation should not be put on the main net or in the test net because it's proprietary. But why is there not an ombuds person or other external party that can decide what makes information legitimately confidential? It really sounds like self-dealing when we're talking about the IGs themselves or the guilds themselves deciding what is confidential and what is not. Let us see what is coming from the chat. How do you know it's not Prime Rogue? Because I've looked through everything. Yeah, the mic hand's already pretty much broken, Quad. But let's get to the evaluation requirements. The score threshold, earn 120 points. For what? They haven't told us, but we're about to find out. Pre-evaluation requirements. Make an intro blog. Oh, this is for the pre-evaluation? Okay. So you have to make an intro blog post. One blog post. That's enough communication to satisfy the OIG that you're communicating with the users on Wax. One blog post. Well done. Guild account registers as a producer on the Wax testnet for 7 days before the submission deadline. Previously registered guilds that unregister will have a 7-day timer reset if they are unregistered for 24 hours or longer. Okay. Interviewed by the Inspector General Committee. This is great. I love it. Okay, where are these interviews? Where can we find them on YouTube? Where can we find the identities of those who are in the guilds or in the OIG? Where can we find that they don't have a criminal record or otherwise prohibitive element of their biography preventing them from actually serving in a position requiring this degree of trust? I'd love to see these interviews. Can someone link me to them, please? Join the Wax Guild's Keybase team. Okay. Added emergency contact information to the guild roster. That's very reasonable. No guild member can be an active IG unless a replacement for his or her seat has already been elected. Very reasonable, but why would an IG be starting up a guild while they're still an IG? That's an inherent conflict of interest. Shouldn't that be forbidden in the first place? The guild has to have a public website available. Great. How recently does it have to have been updated? Because I've looked at a few of these, and some of them haven't been updated in a very long time. Oh, and have at least one Wax engagement, product or otherwise, considered point-worthy. Well, first of all, what the hell is a Wax engagement? Because it's not operationalized here. And what's considered point-worthy, and by what metric is the OIG determining whether A, it's point-worthy, and how many points it should receive? Very interesting. More comments from chat. I would love to do an AMA with them. The offer has been put out there to one of them. The others, I have no idea how to contact. Minimum requirements, 99% round and block availability, operate producers and endpoints at a minimum version of 3.1x, BP metadata available in change JSON conforms with the version 1.0.2 BP block producer information standard or later. We'll look into that another day. No guild member can be an active IG. Why is this being repeated? I don't know. But okay. So that makes sense. Secondary requirements. API node endpoint is publicly available for broadcasting transactions. Okay. Seed node endpoint is publicly available for peering. Okay. HTTPS is available on API endpoint. Okay. HTTP2 and HTTP2 are available on RPC API endpoint. Fine. Cores is configured on RPC API endpoint to support desktop wallets and explorers. One would hope so. CPU latency, and this is one of the higher higher 0.1. CPU latency on EOS mechanics below 0.3 milliseconds on average for the guild's last full month of production. Good. Publishing correct feed data via an Oracle service, e.g. Delphi, with a reasonable interval. What's a reasonable interval? Once per minute for prices. Okay, well, we need an actual table of reasonable intervals. You can't just give us an EG, otherwise that's giving you too much power. 99.5% round availability. Okay, how did they come to that number? I'd like to know. Hopefully there is a detailed statistical metric underlying it. One would hope, one would think. No double produced round over the last evaluation period. Okay, BP JSON needs to match on-chain JSON and up-to-date. One would hope so. Endpoints that are unresponsive for a prolonged time, 3+ weeks, ought to be removed? Ought to be removed or must be removed? I'd really like clarification on that. Because ought to be removed is a suggestion. Must be removed is a requirement. All criteria are specific to the WAX network and ecosystem unless otherwise stated. Resolving an issue in a timely manner after a penalty is applied can prevent it from being carried over to the next evaluation, even if it otherwise would be based on the evaluation timeframe. Aside from the fact that that sentence makes zero sense, what is a timely manner and where is it defined? Or is it, again, just the OIG that decides this on an ad hoc basis, like it seems so many other elements of the OIG's operations are? I hope I'm not the only person seeing issues here. So we're moving to technical operations. Professionalism on the technical operations front. Yes, because this document screams professional. Technical operations encompass, not encompasses. Running all required services in a secure configuration, meeting the performance demands of the network, coordinating with other guilds to test and upgrade the network, providing publicly available infrastructure, and implementing processes to minimize risk and maximize availability. If not stated otherwise, all criteria applies to WAX. Well, criteria is plural, so again, this would be apply. You could have really hired someone on Fiverr to proofread this for probably $5 to $15. I'm a little pedantic about spelling mistakes and grammatical errors, but like, guys, this is embarrassing. I'm sorry. There's absolutely no point in publishing something that has this many grammatical errors when it's the official guidelines for the performance of the #1 gaming blockchain. Come on, we can do better than this. Seriously. Hey, Rabbit. Nice to see you. Technical operations. Did we already read this? Because it sure sounds very familiar. Did they just copy paste this? Or did I already read this? Whatever. Oh no, I just got so worked up with the typos that I'm reading it again. Scoring of history solution has been adjusted in v4.5 and v4.9. Visit the following table for history solutions and their respective points for SLA fulfilled. Okay, so we are talking about percentiles. So v1 native, Hyperion partial, Hyperion full, and diffuse. So these criteria are used for scoring. Guilds can only receive points in one category for one history solution, so either history or diffuse. That makes sense. 95% for 4 or 3, 1 to 3 points for 70 to 95%. The Hyperion history should cover at least the last 6 weeks of data. The uptime for this period should be at least 95% for 2 points, or between 95% and 70% for 1 point. I would really like to see how these figures were generated, and if it's somewhere else, which I will find out, it should be linked to here 100%. Yo, what's up, Soul the Cat? Nice to see you. Oh, I did not know you started streaming. If someone could shout out JT, I would love it. And I think I already follow him, but if not, I'll drop him a follow. But everyone go follow JT. The full history bonus is only granted to high availability, which is defined as having an uptime of at least 95% or an uptime between 95% and 70%. Okay. Guilds are responsible for ensuring that their history solutions' uptime and performance are successfully tracked by the majority of monitoring systems. That makes 100% sense. Good. Failing to do so can result in a loss of points. How many points, and how has that been determined? These are kind of basic things. You're supposed to have technical expertise to be on the OIG. I sure as hell don't have technical expertise. I'm trying to develop technical expertise or some basic technical literacy, but failing to actually operationalize and list this is really failing to do the basic functions of evaluating guilds. Hyperion features required to apply scoring for Hyperion-based solutions. Tables are true. Okay. This means the guilds need to ensure that their JSON files are available and updated and their rate limits are tolerant enough to allow the fulfillment of all checks. If tracking fails and the situation cannot be resolved in a timely manner, what's a timely manner? Again, why are you so vague? Is this because you want to be able to tell your friends in the guilds that, oh, you can fix this now? And if you fix this now, maybe you won't be deducted too many points? Because otherwise, I have no goddamn clue as to why you wouldn't be defining this and publicly explaining each one of your decisions. I've looked through the reports that the guilds submit and your own responses to them. They're nonsensical. We're going to go through that another day. It's beautifully abstract. Oh boy, I'm getting worked up here. Let's look at the chat. We're almost pure mod chat here. All my mods are in the house. Nasnor is not a mod. Maybe they should be. Yeah, I heard Rabbit Larry. Good for him. That's wonderful. Trash talking. I'm not trash talking the guidelines. I'm evaluating them. This means that blah, blah, blah. Right, timely manner. Well, who the fuck knows what a timely manner is? If guilds encounter issues with their validation or are under the impression this is a result of an error in the validation tool rather than their infrastructure, they need to inform both the provider of said validation tool and the OIG to prevent a possible loss of points. What's their time frame? What is the time frame for them to do this? The OIG highly recommends checking the viability of your validations regularly. Sure, what's the time frame? A node is considered down if it is missing a significant number of blocks beyond being a partial node or if it is lagging. Well, what is the definition of lagging, operationally speaking? Is it in relation to the criteria discussed above or some other criteria that we don't know about? It really, really, really seems that we don't know a lot here. Let's see. Anyways, you're not... what am I not doing? Anyways, all good. Daily to monthly time frame if you like or dislike the project. Could you guys clarify, JT? I'm not 100% sure what you're responding to. Required skills: system engineering and infrastructure management, tech ops, information security, infosec, IT admin, corpsec. Okay. That came out of the blue. So round availability is more of a 99.95%. Fine. History solution. Okay, they have to provide their history text solution as per requirements. Why is this scored 0 to 4? And what is used to evaluate whether they get a score to 0 to 4, and where do we find it? There is an asterisk, but the asterisk does not lead anywhere. So I'd like to know what this asterisk means. Is it like the asterisks for using steroids in baseball? It means the OIG's time frame. Well, if it's ad hoc like that, I would say that's one of the core problems of the OIG. History solutions, provide history solutions. Okay, price oracle, publishing correct feed data via an oracle service for a minimum of 3 price pairs within a reasonable interval. Again, what is a reasonable interval? E.g. once per minute, is that enough to score a full 1, or is it going to change depending on how you feel? Testnet history solution, providing history solutions other than version 1 on the testnet at more of a 95% uptime, e.g. Hyperion or Diffuse. Okay, so as long as you're over 95%, That is the first clear criterion I've seen today. Useful APIs. I love this one. What is a useful API? They're using the example, e.g., atomic assets greater than 95% availability. I'd like to know if the other useful APIs are. Why is there not a full list of them? Does the committee just decide on an ad hoc basis what a useful API is? Because that sure would bring about a lot of inconsistency in how guilds are rating and allow the guilds rated and allow the guilds themselves to provide an overly broad definition of what is useful. And it could also lead to self-dealing, don't we think? If it's not predefined, how does that not give the potential for a useful API to be generated on the basis of a conflict of interest in a situation where there are no conflict of interest disclosure mechanisms? Let's have another look at the chat. Troll Sting. Yes, I do agree with you that the OIG is the most... Oh, you're trolling them! Okay, I'm trying to avoid doing that, and it's really hard because they're so easy to troll. The OIG, as per JT, is the most easily corrupt position that is elected. I agree with you entirely. Also means people with the richest friends win the election. I am not going to say no to that. I mean, the useful API is nonstop evolving and adapting and adding. I agree with you there, Quadrell, but why is there not an up-to-date list of these published each cycle, since we are talking about guild evaluation cycles? That wouldn't be... I mean, one of the broader criticisms of the OIG here is they don't communicate enough with the public. If I'm not mistaken, their Twitter has not tweeted since January 15th. They're just basically once in a while chatting with each other on Telegram. I don't think that's good enough. I don't think it's good enough for the users of the chain. I'm the one being trolled. Okay, well, one way or the other. JT's perpetually trolling. No, it will never be up to date, but they can be added dynamically in time. Right? I agree that they're coming day to day, but where's the list? The list can be updated, my friend. That's kind of the issue. We just have one example here. This can be done dynamically in real time. Updating a list daily or weekly is not too complicated for these guys. I hear they're smart. Product development. Measurable software engineering and product development for the Wax ecosystem. This involves creating primarily open source tools and services to benefit the entire Wax network, such as wallets, interactive bots, and data analysis tools. Guilds can score points for a maximum of 5 products. Why? Why only 5? Only tools and products that bring real value to the network will be considered based on the following. Oh, this is going to be fun. Real value to the network. Well, first of all, what is real value to the network? How is that operationalized? This is how it's operationalized. User metrics, service, and value provided, open source code, Wax focus, tokenomics contributions, e.g. DeFi fees. Okay, those are great, but how are we operationalizing the use of each of these metrics? How do we know that you're not self-dealing or doing a favor for a friend if you're not publishing what the actual metrics in relation to each of these categories are? Only one new product can be submitted per evaluation period. New product submissions are only accepted if existing products are properly maintained or have been discontinued. What is properly maintained and why is it not defined? New products exceeding the size of community tools expected to earn more than 2 points should be introduced to the OIG in a product discovery call ahead of their first submission. That's great. Where can I find the recordings of these project discovery calls? Shouldn't they be on chain since this is all about transparency and openness? Because they're not, right? I mean, isn't your job to promote transparency, openness, and integrity on the chain through an objective evaluation process? Because that's what the documents say. That's not what we're seeing, though. Let's go back to chat. You hear they are smart. Did you confirm? No comment. If you just hear doctors are smart and show them a rocket, they won't know shit. Good point. Poor Mike. Yes, this mic is being abused. You know they can't be corrupt if they write it properly. Exactly. There's no possibility of corruption when something's written properly. Yes, and that's exactly why I'm also calling for broader structural reform of the OIG via the office of an ombudsperson. But hey, that's more of a decision for the wax chain itself to make. One of my fundamental predicates of my candidacy is that the OIG is absolutely structurally deficient and incapable of accomplishing its base functions based solely on its design. But that's a story for another day. For the initial submission of a new product, Guild should provide as much information as possible. Holy crap. What's as much information as possible? Including a roadmap and development plans. Well, what else do you want? All following submissions must only contain updates, changes to previously reported information, additions, and metrics. Full resubmissions with minor changes will be ignored. What's a minor change? It's your job to operationalize this. It's your job to define it. For a product to be considered released, it must be usable, working, and demonstrate a user base. Okay, what is the definition of usable? What is the definition of working, since everything always has a bug or two, and demonstrate a user base? Well, what proportion of active wallets do you consider to represent a user base? Products under development that wish to be considered for points require a product discovery call and must provide monthly update containing progress, blockers, if any, and timelines. Again, I'd really love to see where these calls are available to the public. These points are only granted for a maximum of 3 evaluation cycles. Exceptions can be made for bigger projects. Wait, what? Exceptions can be made for bigger projects that are expected to contribute significant value to the ecosystem, extending the eligibility to 6. Is this a joke? Quote unquote, bigger projects and quote unquote, significant value. This is exactly the kind of stuff that can lead to corruption because these terms are not defined. What significant value for whom in the ecosystem? And what's a bigger project? And isn't rewarding bigger projects instead of innovative startup projects actually creating more artificial barriers to entry beyond the ones you're already imposing on the guilds? Or guilds that are trying to become established in the top 21? This is the contradiction of your job. If a guild does not manage to fulfill the promise of a release on the planned schedule, it will be granted an extension that aligns with the original time frame. Does anyone know what a time frame is? A time frame. Is it a fried time frame? Because this whole document is fried. Failing to release the product by the end fulfill. Is that a word? Let's have a look in the dictionary. Is end fulfill a word? End fulfill. If so, I've learned something. Guess what? It's not a word. Who would have thunk it? A successfully released product can award points for a specified period of time until it eventually decays to a minimum threshold for as long as it's maintained. All right. So successfully released products can be awarded points. How many? For a specified period of time. You're not specifying it, guys. That's kind of a problem. Until it eventually decays. What's the definition of decay? To a minimum threshold. What is the minimum threshold? As long as it's maintained and maintenance is reported upon. What is your definition of maintained? Decay can be offset by ongoing feature releases and developments. Products that stall or die will not earn points. A product cannot die, but okay, I guess it's a beautiful metaphor. Whether a project has stalled or died will be judged based on the quality of monthly updates and therein contained metrics. What are the metrics? If they're available, which I haven't found them, and I'm going to look hard and deep. Nope. Oh, God. Hard and deep. Hard and deep is how I'm going to look. Why aren't they linked here? Don't you want to make this easy for chain users to navigate? Products will be scored in categories including but not limited to tools, standards, widgets, blockbusters, and multimedia, and evaluated based on UX, innovation, adoption, reach. That's wonderful. What
is the definition of these categories, and what are the metrics for UX innovation, adoption, and reach. Whether they're qualitative or quantitative, it's absolutely unacceptable that they're not being shared here. We have more chat. Just ignore everything is what they're telling you to do. Yes, it sure sounds like that, JT. It genuinely sounds like they're basically telling us, yeah, let us handle it, guys. We're cool. No way 3 people could collude on something, right? Impossible. JT, all I'm hearing is this is a corrupt position. No comment. If you will try to fix it, they might want to remove you from the position. Well, I would never get elected to this position, so fair. I'm pretty new on Wax. What's the full story of what's happening? Well, the Wax OIG is the entity that rates the block producers, that basically the guilds that maintain the network. And we're having a look. There's an election coming up for one of the positions, and I'm a candidate in it. And we're having a look at their guidelines for evaluating the different guilds, and we're finding out in real time that these guidelines don't really have any substance. OIG is not the director of Wax. It's an organization that's supposedly independent of Wax. Quadrell, I guess all the metrics are acceptable for Inner Circle, because if it would be opposite, a lot of them would be able to be abused. Yeah, I think you kind of just said it. They're acceptable to the Inner Circle of 3 people that are members of the OIG. A lot of them, because if it would be opposite, a lot of them you'd be able to be abused. Well, how do we know they're not being abused? Yes, it is just me trying to show every weak spot in voting for sheriffs on Wax. That's actually pretty accurate. Oh, I'm not unopposed, and I really hope that a lot of other people will run. The more people that run, the better, JT. Guilds that split responsibility for a larger product may share points depending on circumstances. Okay, what are the circumstances that will determine that? Guilds working together will be expected to explain what each guild is doing on the project to earn points. Points will be split based on the ratio provided by the guilds in question. So the guilds get to provide their own ratios for point distributions? So theoretically, a guild that's doing 100% of a project that owes another guild a favor could create an 8-to-2 ratio in favor of the other guild just to deal with them back and forth? That's a hell of a lot of power to give guilds. That's a hell of a conflict of interest. If no ratio is provided, the points will be distributed equally. Guilds are asked to appoint a project owner. If no project owner is appointed, both parties need to agree on distribution changes. If guilds cannot come to an agreement, they can contest project points. Well, you haven't defined how they're allocated yet, so how the hell are they contesting them? If guilds, blah, blah, blah. If case of projects points being contested, both guilds will lose an equal amount of points until a co-signed agreement is submitted to the OIG. So the OIG is basically ham-fisting them into forcing an agreement upon them, even though the original point ratio agreement, which is in and of itself undefined. Oh my god, this is blowing my mind. This is the epitome of circular logic. Points can only be contested for the following evaluation period, leaving involved parties one evaluation period to find an agreement without points being lost. Lovely. Required skills. One of them should include operationalization, and another should be proofreading. Software programming, development operations, systems and infrastructure management. Criteria, community tools, building and supporting community tools, i.e. Telegram bots. Man, for some reason, the members of the OIG really love Telegram, from what I've discovered. No idea why, but hey, they even specified it as their preferred community tool. I would love to know what the other community tools might be, but they have decided not to privilege us with that information. Oh, we have more chat. Let's see. Oh, wait. You know this is what you're saying. You're being sardonic in noting the potential for corruption that exists within this superbly designed transparent system. Sheriff is really someone named like that? No, it's an Inspector General, Rexy. Currently, there is one candidate. No, Anders is going to run again. He's been nominated. I'm so glad to see that he's running. They expect the blockchain guilds. I almost said we. Right, Rexy, the hell is that form of position given in an organization? Hey, fat boy. As JT says, the judge, jury, and executioner. I could not have said it better myself. That sure as hell is what the OIG looks like. Telegram is used enough with partial power of each. What is my new way of turning to chat? Chat is literally on a different computer to the left of me. So we have the product. What the fuck is this? This is the sheet template for a new product. It has the product name, the development stage with criteria below. We'll have a look at those. Analytics. Well, what are the analytics? I don't see a description. This is one hell of a product sheet template, guys. A spec document, which includes technical details on the roadmap. Well, what's the definition of an appropriate roadmap as per OIG standards? I'd love to know, because I've seen many types of roadmaps, and you know what? I believe in rugs, not hugs, and a lot of roadmaps have led to clear rugs. The only one that makes sense here, other than the product name, is the code repo URL. Product development criteria. Oh, here they are, the criteria. Look at this, guys. We have our criteria. Oh, no, is this computer freezing? 1 to 5. Oh, these are the criteria for the development of a new product. I quote, decided by IG based on user metrics, service and value provided, open source code, and wax focus. So 1 to 5 points are decided by the OIG, arbitrarily based on undefined conceptions of user metrics, services, and value provided. The only one that's clear here is the open source code, and wax focus might sort of be clear. So these are the impressive product development criteria that have hitherto been put forth by the OIG to decide if a guild is contributing to the wax ecosystem or not. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not looked at these documents before, you've seen it here. This absolutely precise phrase. It seems like it's almost engineered for precision. Decided by the IG based on user metrics, service, and value provided. I'm sure that a guild knows exactly what to do when it's provided with such clear guidance, right? Man, damn, these guys are good. We don't need the pros from Dover when we have the OIG. Let's see chat. Kreknanoric. It's their money and they want it now. No comment. The words I'm using. I don't know what words I'm using. LOL. JT puts it, and I will not comment on this. Quote, how to write the most corrupt position on wax. End quote. What do you think, folks? Hey, Arena Hole. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you. Oh, God, we're getting into ecosystem development now. I'm sure there's a lot more precision here. Bringing businesses, products, and liquidity to the Wax network or providing a service supporting others doing so. Actively facilitating integrations into the larger blockchain ecosystems with services such as wallet providers, major exchanges, and interoperable dApps. Getting funds interested in the project. That's not a sentence. Providing publicly known and available services and hands-on assistance to businesses in the Wax ecosystem. These are all great things. Can we know what they are? The required skills are business development, finance, product partnerships, and product development. Oh, this is going to be fun. Guilds can earn ED points for a maximum of 5 activities and services. I've heard this before. Only activities that add value to the network will be considered based on user This is literally copy-posted from right up here. Guilds can earn ED points for a maximum of 5 activities and services. Only activities that add value to the network will be considered based on user metrics, service, and value provided, open source code, and wax focus. Hey, look. It's written right here for the product development criteria, and it's defined in neither place. Great. There's no illusion of impropriety here whatsoever, guys. This is perfect. There don't need to be any changes made whatsoever to this. Engagements will be evaluated continually. Okay, how often? And they remain eligible to earn points for a specified period of time. You didn't specify the period of time! What is the specified period of time? Please, please tell me. Let us know. My God, is this running a blockchain or is this running a corner store that's about to go bankrupt? Oh, I need to compose myself. I need some nicotine. God damn. This stream has not been endorsed by Coca-Cola, but if Cafola wants to sponsor me, I'll probably take it. Oh boy, this is exhausting. This is draining. This is like grading a terrible freshman paper. I need to look at chat. JT, they know to just throw wax at the IG and they look the other way on rugs. No comment. That's how you get points. No comment. The requirement is to pay the IG. No comment. You decide. I endorse that perspective. I think 1 week. Man, do you think the guilds don't getting any files or guidelines of how to when they applies or so? I'm not sure what you mean, but I do not think the guilds are getting any files or guidelines. I've looked at the guild evaluations, and they get ad hoc responses that are, well, very vague from the members of the OIG, the IGs, and they seem to vary from project to project, and they don't seem to have any consistency, whether from project to project or IG to IG, which is a problem we're going to look at another day. Efforts that don't require a lot of time and labor and build marginal value for wax will be deemed a small engagement and worth less points than a big deal. Let's unpack that sentence. Don't require a lot of time. What is a lot of time to you? Because it sounds like you put an hour into writing this document. I'd really love to know the definition of a lot of time. What's a lot of labor? How many codes is a lot of labor? What's marginal value? What's a small engagement? And this sounds Trumpian. A big deal. Efforts that don't require a lot of time and labor and build marginal value for wax will be deemed a small engagement. They're going to be worth less points than a big deal, something that's huge. Guilds who split the responsibilities for a larger engagement may share points depending on circumstances. This is the same shit they wrote above. It's just this bad, this ratio thing that's undefined. Successfully concluded engagements can be awarded points for a specified period of time beyond closure before it eventually decays. What's the specified period of time? Is this a joke? Has the Wax blockchain actually read this document? Is this a joke? I'm serious. And look, here's the ecosystem development sheet template, which looks just like the product sheet template. And guess what? See evaluation criteria below. I almost guarantee you I know what it's going to say. Points decided by the AIG based on user metrics, service, and value provided, open service code, and Wax focus. Source code. Let's go up. Oh, look, it's the same criteria, undefined, as were used for product development. Wonderful. Oh, let's have another look at the chat. They just get told, show us roadmap and the other thing, and either approve or deny. No guidelines. Well, there seem to be some guidelines, but they're just made up on the spot, it sure seems like. JT, when I joined Wax Blockchain, I thought it was a joke. Why do you think I stayed? Because you like a good joke? But no, the chain's not a joke. The OIG's a joke. And that's why I'm running. And I think that's why other people are running. To make it a lot less easy to laugh at. Cadrell, because he is a troll. Wax strategic contributions. Contributions that bring outstanding value to the Wax ecosystem in the following categories. Block explorers, markets, NFTs, solutions. What's an NFT solution? But okay. Games, wallets, histories and API solutions, marketing, and promotion. What about user engagement? What about open communication on the chain? Are these collectively exhaustive, Mr. OIGs? Because shit, there's a lot of stuff missing here, and I don't even know what these actually mean because you didn't bother defining them. Strategic points are only awarded for products or engagement that already score the maximum points in their respective category and never upon request. Well, So you're deciding whether something is a strategic contribution based on nothing other than the categories you list above and no clear metrics of operationalization. Really? That sounds like a good way to reward your friends. Scoring system. Each of the aforementioned categories will be scored according to the multipliers outlined below. Ultimately, the candidates with the highest scores are considered the most valuable guilds to serve on the Wax blockchain. 10 points for technical operations, 27 for product development, and 27 for ecosystem development, with a total aggregate score of 699.5 being available, with there being absolutely no... How are these multipliers even generated, by the way? Like, what was the structure that led the OIG to determine these priorities with these weights? And where's communication with the community? I guess the OIG perhaps prioritizes serving the community as much as it prioritizes communicating with the community. So 0? Because that's what I'm looking at. Wow. That was one hell of an experience. I've been at this for 51 minutes. I did not intend for this to last this long. I am so worked up about this nonsense that I literally tore my mic off of its stand. This mic is now just freewheeling. I'm like Mick Jagger or something, minus the cocaine, just doing cool things with my mic like this, which Quadrell almost certainly disapproves of. But yeah, this has been our wonderful first journey through the world of the Office of the Inspector General Guidelines. Just out of curiosity, chat, do you guys think these really sound like guidelines? Because to me, they sound like vague contrivances that are designed to allow an institution with no checks and balances upon it to do whatever the hell its members want to do. And I think that's a problem. Does Wax take this seriously? Because the OIG sure as shit doesn't. It's your possession. I can't almost listen to you anyway. Why are there ads? I keep turning the ads off and they come back on. Great. So people are missing out on this amazing content because of ads. And this content, ladies and gentlemen, this is probably some of the most entertaining and amusing content I've ever streamed, because I've never, ever seen a project this is not a project, this is chain governance, that is this horrific in terms of its absolute lack of any semblance of direction, rigor, or discipline or integrity. I'm actually shocked at the degree of IDGAF, IDGAF, I don't give a fuck, that's present in this document. It is blowing my mind. I had read through an earlier version of this and I thought it was bad, but I think I probably just skimmed it. Because when you read this word per word, chat, this is detritus. There's nothing of value in here. There's nothing that's telling us how the OIG operates. And I can tell you one thing. That's not how a blockchain's oversight entity should be operating. It should be operating on the basis of clear guidelines, operationalized guidelines for every single element of the chain's operation and the criteria that are used to judge. If a category does not have clearly operationalized elements for judging, then it shouldn't be integrated into the governance structure yet. Because that's what you do. You don't just decide, hey, Billy's going to get an A on his paper because I like him, but Johnny's going to get a B because he didn't send me 50 wax. I'm thoroughly disgusted by this. The OIG holds so much power and is using this power without any responsibility. And this needs to come to an end. This is just a sad state of affairs. And that's one of the reasons I'm running for OIG, guys and gals. If there's any questions from the chat, I'd be happy to take them. Otherwise, I'm going to raid into someone and go take a chill pill because I'm quite worked up after reading this. But yeah, let's hang out. I think I'll probably be releasing my third campaign poster NFT tonight because I am just so disgusted by this. And disgust is the right word. But let's see if everyone's just playing with the rogue bot. We can move on and raid out of here. Oh, I didn't know that Soul and Rabbit raided me. Thank you so much for the raids, ladies, earlier. I didn't have that open, and I was deep into my rant. Do I think that this attitude and way I am referring to this is anything other than a waste of time? In terms of if I cared about getting elected to the position, this very well might be a waste of time, given that I'm here to talk issues and promote reform. I mean, I guess you could look at it as a waste of time financially in terms of the fact that I could be doing things that earn me money, but I care about wax, and that's why I am running in this OIG election. So no, it's not a waste of time. It's time very well spent. OP, have I posted any info lately on my Waxdale farm? That is correct. I have, OP. I posted on Twitter that because of the fact that it would be wrong to reward users for the campaign posters that are be created through my collection, and because I'm using the what you may call it, the one that doesn't hold your NFTs, the non-custodial beta farm, I've temporarily put it in vacation mode and will be setting up a new farm for non promo campaign NFTs in the coming days, probably 3-4 days. I will be rating encrypted. Yeah, no worries, OP. There'll be more than one of these. There's a lot of stuff to talk about in relation to the OIG. Well, no, I know I'll never be elected, Quad. There's not a snowball's chance in hell I'll be elected. That's what that makes this even more fun. I mean, I've already said that there's a fair chance that before the end of this, I will endorse the most qualified candidate in the race, the one that shows the most integrity and willingness to communicate with users of the chain. Now, if I don't find someone to endorse, that's fine. I'll run till the end, but I've said this many times. I'm not in this to win it. I'm here to talk about issues. No worries, OP. No worries whatsoever. No need to apologize. JT, like what you said earlier, who has the most rich friends? No comment. No comment. Any other questions from chat, guys? But yeah, I'm trying to maintain the most transparent campaign possible, which is the reason I temporarily shut down the Waxdale farm. Solely because I'm not going to give token away to people just because they hold my campaign NFTs. But hey, I also did announce that I thought of this last night when I saw it appear in my account. Some of the degens out there, much love to you, are already selling my campaign NFTs. All secondary market proceeds will be donated to the Calgary SPCA or Humane Shelter. I just moved here, so I don't know what it's called. But if you sell my campaign NFTs, you're helping homeless dogs and cats. So please sell them. Please. I would really love it if you sold those NFTs on secondary. It's good for the cats and dogs of Calgary, Alberta. OP, my worry that we will split the vote if we get too many good guys running. Yeah, OP, that's one of the reasons why I might strongly consider endorsing someone near the end of the campaign. I don't want to be splitting the vote if someone more qualified than me, who shares my values, is running. That looks says it all. No, if you do the math, Nick and Mike didn't split the votes, OP. We know who moved at the last moment to move the vote. It was clearly orchestrated. There will always be one or two names who will outvote all of us. That's my feeling as well. Yeah. No, don't promote me in passing them around. Promote the dogs and cats of Calgary, Alberta. No, they weren't sold, bro. They were given away. I mean, I can link the drops here in the chat if you give me a second. You missed the mythic variation of one of the their campaign posters, like publicity for the candidate. Like, I would never sell them. That would be wrong. But Bay's going to be putting out one almost every day. There's another one coming in a second. Not in a second. I mean, later tonight. I'm just going to link you to the 2 drops for the... Well, they're actually all here. They're just free drops that are right here. Oh, you got the posters. Okay. I'm also not able to claim the DGen Nerd NFT. That's because you don't have the keyed link. No, none were... well, actually, one had to have been sold because I had some secondary market stuff. Unless it's something else that's sold. But either way, regardless of what sells, just because I don't have time to keep track of it, I will be donating all secondary market sales between now and the end of the election to the Calgary SPCA or Humane Society. I thought it was one of those who sold. Quadrell, if you're telling me that it's something else, I believe you. As to why you can't claim the DGen Nerd TV promo number 1, here, let me edit the drop so that anyone can claim it without a CAPTCHA. Give me a sec. I'll just remove the secure key. I don't really care, so just give me a sec. I'm doing it live here. Holy crap, this is eating up my RAM, guys. Just making it unsecure, but I am going to add a CAPTCHA. So if you'll bear with me, you should be able to claim it in a moment here. Yeah, I think in the future I'm going to go with CAPTCHAs rather than keyed links. They make a lot more sense. So let's add that CAPTCHA. Done. Quadrell, you should be able to claim it now, good sir. Oh, it could have been the... Honestly, dude, I don't know. I just realized that it was a financial conflict of interest if I was gaining secondary market fees off campaign NFTs. So in the interest of full transparency and integrity, I just decided that I wouldn't collect any secondary market fees. Not that I earned very many of them anyway. Between now and what is it, the 15th of July, I believe. Just not going to do it. Makes no sense. I don't know how I see the latest sales or whatever, but yeah, that's about that. Unless I have any other questions from chat, I am going to raid on out into Encrypted, our good friend over here on Wax. It was a pleasure having you all here with me. Thank you again to Soul and Rabbit for the raids. I'm sorry I missed it in real time. I was kind of worked up by these documents. But yeah, let me get to the console, and we're going to raid into Encrypted, and I'm going to go take some kind of chill pill, because, man, this was really unpleasant. Let's raid. Raid. Oh, nice. Good quad. Thank you, good sir. All right, we are raiding into Encrypted. Why don't we drop some emojis in the chat and tell him how much the OIG sucks. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting oligopoly on the chain in the hopes of transforming it into democracy. Yo, Sensei Bullrog in the house. Before we rate up, let's give a shout out to Sensei. He just missed all the fun stuff. But yeah, man, the OIG is a absolute disaster. And yeah, let's keep talking about this for the next 34 days. And hopefully we can bring about some kind of change in chain governance. But until then, let's raid into Encrypted. Thank you all so much for being here. And have an amazing, amazing day. And we are raiding out. Much love back at you, Sensei. Much love. Have we rated? I have no idea.